ownership is a family's biggest investment, and its appreciation provides financial security. We all know that wealth is built primarily through appreciation of home value. How do we ensure that homes remain affordable as home prices increase? That is, we want home values to increase to build family wealth, but at the same time, we want to keep the homes affordable. Ms. Ryder.
Yeah, so the city can't set the the rates on people's homes. What we have right now across the entire country is a real estate market that is under the crunch, and the costs are driving up all over the country. And that's particularly happening here in Knoxville. There's an estimate that your property values are going to appraise by the county tax assessor next year by an increase of 30%, because that's what we're seeing. We have people moving in from other places, and they're willing to spend up to $70,000 in cash to pay for a property over its asking value. So that's pushing our costs up. So what do? We have very few opportunities to build new infill housing because we don't have a lot of land. We do have opportunities in a revised zoning code that allows for more opportunities for duplexes and triplexes, and those need to be subdivided in a way that they can provide home ownership for people. We also have programs at community development to help people stay in their homes. One of the things is we have a lot of people in their own homes, and their homes need rehab, and they may not be able to afford that. The community development program through HUD dollars has additional funding to do roof repairs, electrical repairs, foundation repairs for people that can't afford them, as well as energy efficiency repairs. So those are programs that the city has that maintain housing for people. The other thing is maintaining a low tax rate. The tax rate is at the lowest it's been in 30 years. And next year, when the appraisal goes up, the tax rate will reset and go back down. The estimate for the county tax assessor is that it will go down to 222.
Thank you. Mr. Klonaris.
I hear interesting conversations that seem in conflict with each other. Home ownership is definitely the best way for a family to acquire long-term wealth. I mean, we all know that. We all grew up in a place where our parents told us, you've got to own a home. You don't need to rent. You've got to get equity in your home. That's how you're going to retire. Knoxville is experiencing an absolutely amazing growth spurt right now. As Lauren said, people are moving here from all over the country, from the Northeast, from the West Coast, even from the South coming in. Talk louder. Thank you, I'm sorry. I can definitely do that. I think that what we really need to focus on, it goes back to the culture of the city. It's the red tape. It's not the welcoming. And we don't have developers building in the city. They're going right to the county line and they're building huge apartment complexes. They're building large neighborhoods. They're staying away from the city. Why are they staying away from the city? It's a cultural issue. I've talked to over 24 developers in the last 5 months, and every single one of them says, I don't want to do business in the city. And as far as the assessment going up 30% and the tax rate going down, it still nets into a positive tax increase. And we have so much poverty out here. It's disgusting. I didn't even know. I live in the inner city, but until I started knocking on doors in my district, I didn't realize the level of poverty. It's saddening to me. For us to raise taxes on people will make it harder and they will fall deeper into poverty. I'm telling you, we need to work with developers to build more housing and not multi-type housing, and we need to have houses.
Thank you, Mr. Klonaris.
Sorry, I could go on.
No, that's fine. I got more questions.
How many minutes was that?
That was a full.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Okay. Ms. Harper?
Home ownership, yes. Home ownership, especially within my community, is definitely something that we look to build wealth and continue wealth within our generations. But what we also need to look at, which I think goes hand in hand, is we can talk about home ownership, and talk about affordable housing, but affordable housing does not produce those wealth that we need within our families, right? So we also need to look at making sure we have economic policies when it comes to jobs, when it comes to work, when it comes to livable wages, so we can talk about affordable housing, but then we can really get into housing affordability. A lot of people can't afford homes, to purchase homes, because we don't have jobs within District 6. We don't have the development that'll bring those jobs into District 6. So we have to also look at, yes, home ownership is something that we definitely need, but what programs are out there that the city can invest in? Home ownership, down payment assistance. There are other programs that are out there that could use more funding so that we can have more people to access those resources so that they can own their homes, so that they can continue to provide wealth within their families. So yes, affordable housing is needed, affordable housing is good, but we also want to look at housing affordability and look at economic development policies and programs that we can invest in that will directly reduce and continue to reduce the 42% poverty rate, in addition to creating wealth within families.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. And Mr. Holt.
So I find this question interesting because this all relates to supply and demand. We see gas prices fluctuate every single day. And why is that? At times there's greater supply and differences in demand. The city of Knoxville, unfortunately, cannot control market forces. And, I like to say the secret's gotten out about this place. We have a lot of people moving here, and because it's a great community. Now, we look at that discrepancy right now. We have an immense amount of demand in the housing market in Knoxville and not as much supply. And what that is doing is driving home values up. Lately, we've seen 60% of homes or more go for asking or above asking price. A lot of it was cash offers. Now, what can the city do? That's the real question. And as Jen mentioned, the number one thing that we can do is be a resource to proactively encourage development. Because if we want to slowly, work on changing the supply-demand discrepancy, we need to make sure we have a greater supply of private housing. The governmental housing is a piece that we can't play, but when you look at the proportion of that to what the private housing community and developers can provide, it's pennies to the dollar. If we want to have more affordable homes, we need more homes in the market to equal out this demand curve. And it is as simple as that. I was speaking to the Home Builders Association last month. These are the men and women that invest, they build into multifamily, they build the apartments, they build the houses within Knoxville. And I asked them a question. I said, raise your hand if you actively pursue investing within the city limits. Not a single person raised their hand. That red tape that Jim mentioned exists and needs to change. If we want to have more affordable homes, we need to have people willing to build those homes, especially affordable homes that are in the $250,000, $200,000 price range, to have that availability in the market. The city needs to be proactive about what we do with our land use and promoting development to increase this housing supply if we're going to see this issue slowly turn away.